Welcome to Hannity. President Obama is imposing sanctions on Russia over allegations of election hacking. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle in for Sean tonight. Kellyanne Conway and former U.S. Ambassador John Bolton will be here tonight with reaction. But first, earlier today, the Obama administration punishing Russia with sanctions, including expelling 35 Russian diplomats from the U.S. and closing Russian-owned compounds in New York and Maryland. Russia is responding by threatening to retaliate and is also saying the move was done to hurt the incoming administration. And President-elect Trump is reacting by putting out a statement that reads, quote, "It's time for our country to move on to bigger and better things. Nevertheless, in the interest of our country and its great people, I will meet with leaders of the intelligence community next week in order to be updated on the facts of this situation." Joining us now is incoming counselor to President-elect Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Kelly, thank you for joining us on the show tonight. Always a pleasure to have you. So lots of news on the international front, and certainly these developments as it relates to Russia are concerning. Have you spoken to President-elect Donald Trump about this?
I have, yes. I've been with him most of the day in meetings, including on this topic.
Okay, and what are his thoughts?
Well, you see them clearly reflected in his official statement, Kimberly. He does believe it's time to move on and look forward to the next administration. Also, in the interest of the country, he's agreed to receive an intelligence briefing next week, probably in New York, by a number of intelligence officials to learn more about the current situation. And I think those who are trying to bait him into a bigger response, I would say two things to them. Number one, you can't have it both ways. You can't on the one hand say, hey, just one president at a time, and we have one now for the next 22 days or so named President Barack Obama, but at the same time you want the president-elect to make new policy. I was really disappointed to read in David Sanger's New York Times piece this evening the allegation or the supposition that perhaps one reason that these sanctions are taking place is to, quote, box in President-elect Trump, forcing him to take a position or otherwise once he takes office. I hope that this isn't motivated by politics even a little bit. But I would also note to folks, Kimberly, that this is great political fanfare and largely symbolic. But will it have impact? Will these sanctions have impact? It is unprecedented for us to expel as a nation that many operatives over such a short period of time. I don't think at the height of the Cold War we even did that. But at the same time, you know, the GRU, where these operatives are, they don't really travel here. They don't keep their assets here. So one wonders, you know, what the teeth of the sanctions really are. I see Russia has already retaliated against our alleged retaliation. I think they were calling on closing the Anglo-American school in Moscow. They also put out a scathing statement that this is just lame ducks and political corpses, quote unquote, those are their words. In the Obama administration doing a flurry of activity in the final week. So it's concerning and it's all new, but the president-elect was very brief and very firm and very consistent in his statement tonight.
All right, what do you expect and foresee for President-elect Donald Trump in terms of his relations with Russia? What do you think will be one of the first steps that he will take?
Well, that's a larger question, apart from these sanctions and certainly apart from the current issue at hand. We have complicated relations with Russia. We have for decades as the United States. But at the same time, the president-elect has made clear that he is willing to work with countries who want to work on big solutions together. For example, if there are countries that want to come together with the United States and help eradicate, not just contain and not just pretend they've gone away, but eradicate ISIS, then we would entertain that assistance depending on the terms. I mean, I would say it's just remarkable to me that we're talking about sanctions against Russia just days after I would call sanctions against Israel with that horrible UN vote where really I think Secretary Kerry, before his speech and certainly after his speech, has lost a tremendous amount of credibility in just upending U.S. policy with respect to Israel. You will see President Trump have a much stronger relationship with Israel. You can't put daylight between the U.S. and Israel diplomatically, militarily, technically, when you're talking about President Trump's administration. So I think just in the last couple of days you see this flurry of activity by a tough President Obama as he exits office. And I guess is burnishing those last couple of moments, you know, semicolons worth of his legacy. But at the same time, the new president will have an opportunity to re-examine our relationships geopolitically across the globe and make a decision that is always America first in the best interest of America, Americans, our allies, and their interests around the world.
Well, it seems already that, Benjamin Netanyahu already has a confidence in developing a very good relationship with President-elect Donald Trump. It seems he's very much looking forward to January 20th and trying to really restore and rebuild relations with Israel, which is a very important democracy and ally for us in that region.
It's our greatest friend, our best friend in that region, and stabilization of the Middle East is a goal for President-elect Trump overall, but we want our friends in Israel to know that help is on the way, and President-elect Trump tweeted that out yesterday, and we heard so much positive response from all across this country, including people who may have voted a different way in these elections. Kimberly, thank you for saying that, they say to President-elect Trump, that thank you for even saying, hang on there, Israel, January 20th is fast approaching or will be here soon. Something to that effect, because it's so important that Israel and the Middle East and the rest of the world know that we will have an incredibly strong relationship between the U.S. and Israel. And Mr. Netanyahu knows that, Ambassador Dermer knows that, and we just want the world to know that.
Okay.
I thought this vote over the weekend was clearly just remarkable. I mean, it was such a break with U.S. policy, and it was just so weak.
Yeah, it certainly is not helping in terms of our relations, and really just a departure from U.S. foreign policy as it relates to Israel. Let's talk a little bit about the relationship between President-elect Donald Trump and current President Barack Obama. Did they actually speak yesterday late in the evening, and what was the nature of the call?
So President Obama and President-elect Trump spoke yesterday afternoon. Some of us on the senior staff were there when the call was being received, so I know it was in the afternoon. And then President-elect Trump went out and told the media that they had a very productive conversation that was broadly reaching on a number of issues. They spoke at length. They speak fairly regularly, which I think is very healthy for our democracy and very auspicious for a peaceful transition from administration to administration. President-elect said something else last night here at Mar-a-Lago to the press, Kimberly, that I would like to emphasize, which is he said our staffs are working really well together. That is true. You have the current Chief of Staff and our incoming Chief of Staff in touch, the two press secretaries in touch, Sean Spicer and Josh Earnest, from what I understand, and certainly Valerie Jarrett and other senior staff members have reached out to me personally and often. So we feel that our cabinet nominees, others who are involved in senior levels in the incoming government, have had good contact with, very positive contact with, and good relations so far with the outgoing Obama administration officials. And we hope that continues, because that really is the only way to make this work for the American people in the next couple of weeks. January 20th will be here quickly, and it's very important to all of us. I think it's very important to America that you see that peaceful transition of power from administration to administration.
Okay, well, that's good news then also that President-elect Trump feels, personally supported and has this open communicative relationship with the current president, certainly. What would you like to see happen over the course of the next 3 weeks to feel very well prepared and a good position for the start on January 20th?
Kimberly, one thing is something, just to modify our previous conversation, is something that the President-elect tweeted yesterday, too, which is he sees some roadblocks sometimes from President Obama. And we do wonder about the rush to do all of these things in the next couple of weeks by the Obama administration, and how that may upend longstanding U.S. policy, as it seems to be, or how it may be, and as the New York Times put it, quote, trying to box in the president-elect. We hope that's not true. Evidence has been to the contrary, so that would be good. What we would like to do is know as much as we can to prepare for those first 10 days, 100 days. We're very excited about the president's agenda. He's put it forward, President-elect's agenda. He's put it forth. Anybody can see. He talked about his 100-day plan on the campaign trail. And you know this guy, he's very consistent, so that hasn't changed. What I will tell you is that I think what I want people to know is that the president-elect is not only is he not a politician, but he's a successful businessman. And what that means as president is the way he has run as a chief executive, successful, brilliant, change-making. Things move very quickly. When you employ tens of thousands of people, when you generate billions of dollars in revenue, when you are accountable for results and you want to deliver on a regular basis. Not just when Congress is ready, not just when you've studied it or the commission is done with its work, but he wants to do things very quickly, and I believe he will, because he's very focused, and he's been working, around the clock here at Mar-a-Lago, meeting with different people. I think he and Vice President Pence have spoken with over 85 or so leaders on the telephone in preparation. So we want to be as ready as possible to get to work and not just say, hey, we need a couple of months to figure it all out. Find our way around the West Wing. This is a man who has always been able to deliver and produce it very quickly, and deliver and produce the way he has promised to, and the way that makes an impact on people's lives. That's what I want to do. I want to make an impact on people's lives very quickly, a positive one.
Well, and you're certainly doing that at a great, personal sacrifice and moving with your family. And we want to wish you all the best, to you and your husband, your children, on your move to D.C.
Thank you, Kimberly. Come and see us.
Okay, I will.
Take care.
Take care.